Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Show Style and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course. As you can see from the title of this video, we will be discussing Fani Willis and attorney Ashley Merchant's testimony, if you will. She actually spoke with a Georgia Senate Special Committee regarding the probe into Fani Willis. And so, oh my gosh, all of the gossip, all of the tea, as we say, that attorney Terrence Bradley spilled regarding his former client and former business partner, Nathan Wade. It has me thinking that perhaps Terrence Bradley went so far as to possibly lose his law license because he could be violating attorney-client privilege, just so he could bring this guy down. It is giving secret vendetta, in my opinion. So, of course, I have some sound bites from what Ashley Merchant told the Georgia Senate Special Committee, and I will be giving my commentary throughout. Now, before we get into it all, I ask that you please hit the like button on this video, or even if you were to hit the dislike button, either one of those work the same, meaning that YouTube will recommend this video to more people who are definitely into discussing all of the details surrounding the Fani Willis probe. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to Show Style and Spirit. I would love to have you. The majority of my content, of course, is related to reality TV shows and reality TV cast members, you know, celebrity gossip, celebrity tea, but also I do like to talk about more serious stories, other stories that I follow in my own personal time, and I want to share them with all of you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So now, unless you have been living under a rock, I know that you are familiar with attorney Fani Willis. She is actually spearheading the election case concerning former President Donald Trump. And then it was discovered that one of the attorneys that is on the election case, Nathan Wade, is a former boyfriend of hers or former lover, whichever term you'd like to use. And it is now a concern by defendant Michael Roman on whether or not some of the funds that have been used for the election case perhaps have been set up to funnel into Fani Willis on a personal level because she hired Nathan Wade, whom she used to date. All right, so we are going to get into it all. Now, definitely everything that I'm saying here is alleged in my opinion, and the Copyright Act of 1976 says that my fair use commentary on these sound bites are allowed for criticism. Okay, so attorney Ashley Merchant, she broke it all down. She did a great job on explaining it to the Senate Special Committee. She talked about how she learned about Fani and Nathan dating from Nathan's former attorney and business partner, Terrence Bradley. And she said that after he learned that Ashley was submitting information requests concerning the DA office and how they were spending money, that's when he reached out to Ashley. He actually asked if he needed to hire an attorney. And then, you know, my antennas went up because I'm wondering, well, why would you ask that question unless you're concerned that you've done something that could be considered criminal or, you know, against the law on some level? And she talks all about it. So I'd rather you hear it from her, and then I will come back with my commentary. So this first soundbite, it actually talks about how Ashley was submitting these information requests, and then it was actually making it out to the public. Here we go.
So Terrence Bradley was Nathan Wade's law partner originally, and he was also his lawyer in the divorce. I did not at the time know that they had filed for divorce. I knew Nathan's wife. I knew both of them historically from Cobb County. I mean, they're, you know, people knew them in Cobb County. Mr. Bradley actually called me after an article. We were looking into the financial irregularities. We were looking into how much money had been paid because everybody in the case was kind of like, what, you know, why do you have special counsel on this case? Yeah, like why are
Bradley still a partner with Wade at that time?
He was not. their partnership ended in summer of 2023. So it had just ended, is my understanding. And it's, you know, it's kind of unclear, like what month. The testimony is very unclear as to when they actually, I have when they dissolved, I think it was September, but it's very unclear as to their partnership. And I will say their partnership was a loose partnership. They had a partnership with the bar, but they all had separate legal entities. So each of them were filed as the law office of Terrence Bradley, law office of Nathan Wade. They had some joint bank accounts, but then they had some separate bank accounts. So I don't really know the exact structure. It was a very loose type of organization, but they were working together. And so Terrence actually called me. He had seen an article where I had done open records with another lawyer, Manny Aurora, and we had uncovered how much money everybody had made. The news had gotten wind of that, and I later learned that the news had open records to get all of my open records. So every time I would get something, the news would get it, because I wondered how that happened. But so that somebody published that, and I had done some more open records. And Miss Willis actually called Mr. Bradley when I did these open records and said, they're looking into us. And he called me because he was worried about it. And so we had a conversation, and he actually asked me, do I need a lawyer? You know, what's going on? What are you investigating? What's the parameters of this? And we had a conversation, and I said, well, my interests are different than yours. I represent Mr. Roman, so I can't advise you. That would be a conflict. He asked if John, my husband, could, and I said, no, that's a conflict too. You know, if you feel like you need somebody, you need to talk to someone else. At the time, that was early in September. I had court in Cobb County, and I ran into Mr. Bradley. I was in Judge Harris's courtroom. I think it was either September 11th or 13th. I checked my calendar a week or so ago, but it was one of those dates. And I was taking a plea in front of Judge Harris, and Mr. Bradley was also there. Another lawyer who ultimately represented Mr. Bradley at our hearing, B.C. Chopra, he was there in court also. And then a friend of all of ours, who's a district attorney, his name is Bert Cohen, he was taking the plea with me. And Bert and I have known each other for a long time. Terrence, BC, everybody's known each other for a long time. We were all sitting in a conference room attached to that courtroom, waiting for the pleas, chit-chatting, took the plea, went back in, and Mr. Bradley essentially went through the whole thing and said, well, this is what's really happening. I had a notepad, and I took notes on all the things to ask for open records.
So what did he say was really happening? When he said, this is what's happening?
He said that
Okay, so there's more. We'll definitely get into it. But kudos to Ashley Merchant. She said while she was waiting for pleas on another case, the attorneys, they were all cool. They were in a conference room chopping it up. And Terrence Bradley started spilling the tea. And she said, I had a notebook and started taking notes, honey. But what I also want to back up and say, did you all peep what Ashley was saying when she said that every time that she would submit information requests, the local media down in Georgia, they were also submitting like FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act requests on what she was requesting. So the media, they were totally on top of whatever Ashley was looking into. In my opinion, my bachelor's degree is in journalism. I do not have my Juris Doctorate. I am not an attorney, but in my opinion, the media was definitely sprinkling some salt on Ashley's game whenever she was just doing her job and defending her client, Michael Roman. For the media to actually submit the FOIA request on whatever she was requesting, and then they were writing articles about it, it was definitely putting everyone, the public, on blast on whatever strategy she could have been coming up with, because literally everything that she was requesting was getting reported on. Also, in my opinion, it sounds like perhaps Fani Willis may have some sort of media connect, and that was definitely a great plan to actually have the media submit FOIA requests on everything that Ashley requests, because then it gets reported in the media. Fani reads the local papers, local online publications, and boom, she knows exactly what Ashley is looking into. In fact, allegedly, during this hearing with Ashley, it was reported that Fani was saying, they're looking into us because it was being reported in the media. What in the world? That is so unusual. Like an attorney just doing their job, they're trying to get information, they're submitting information requests, and then the media actually submits FOIA requests on what Ashley's trying to find out, and they report about it. So, I mean, Fani definitely has the local media in her pocket. That's what it sounds like to me. Now, before we move on to more sound bites, I want to give you all a visual of the players. So, the gentleman in the top left corner, of course, is attorney Terrence Bradley. He is the former divorce attorney and former business partner of Nathan Wade, who's all the way in the top right corner with the StreamYard logo on his face. And in the middle of the two of them is the beautiful Jocelyn Wade. She is the hopefully soon to be ex wife of Nathan Wade. And she, has definitely, I feel like, I feel bad. Like she is going through this divorce. According to her, Fani was seeing Nathan while Nathan was still married, and she doesn't like it. So I definitely have empathy for her. Now, we're going to find out more about the lady in the lower left corner, so I'll wait to introduce her. And of course, you all know Fani Willis and defendant Michael Roman, and that is whom Ashley Merchant is defending. All right, so in this next soundbite, I want to talk about attorney Terrence Bradley, okay? And then you all will have to decide if he was gossiping, spilling tea, if it's a little bit deeper, or was he doing the right thing, the noble thing? So I'm going to play this soundbite and then come back with my commentary.
At a judicial conference before, he was very specific that it was before she became DA, because that was one of the things that he couldn't remember when the judicial conference was, but he knew that it was before she became DA.
When did she become DA?
She became DA in, it would have been January 2021.
Okay.
So she became DA January 1st, 2021, but she had a transition team leading up to that. So, and Mr. Wade was in charge of her transition team. So Mr. Bradley told me all of that. We met for about an hour. Said that they had been together. They met at this conference. Nathan was still married, and Mr. Bradley was upset because of what happened in the divorce. He was upset because they were still married, the Wades were still married, and he essentially just left her after meeting Miss Willis and dropping the kids off at college. So,
and Bradley was Wade's attorney in that divorce action you're talking about? Okay.
Yes, I didn't know that at the time.
But they were all partners.
They had been, yes. And I actually don't know if he was still his attorney when he talked to me. I don't know if he was or not. Because at some point, Mr. Wade represented himself, and then he hired a different lawyer. So I didn't know anything about the divorce at that time.
So Bradley did not like the way Wade had treated his wife.
He did not.
He did not.
He did not like the way he had treated his wife. He didn't like what was happening in the divorce proceeding. Yes. Okay. And I mean, I remember specifically him saying, I handle my business, things like that. Like, that I don't leave my wife without alimony, because and we talked about it. I mean, Miss Wade had been a stay-at-home mom for, they'd been married almost 30 years. And literally it was right after they dropped their youngest off at college that he said, move out, and so we went through, I was obviously interested in, wait, what?
Okay, so you all heard in that soundbite where Ashley said that Terrence Bradley told her that while he was not sure which month and year exactly that Nathan Wade and Fani Willis met, but he said that he knows that it was before Fani Willis became district attorney, which was in January of 2021, 3 years ago. And they met at a judicial conference, and Nathan was still married. But even more, in that soundbite, Ashley said that, Nathan was just so torn up. He was so conflicted, a war within over how Nathan Wade was treating his wife of nearly 3 decades, Jocelyn Wade. I think she is just a gorgeous, beautiful chocolate drop. And they have kids together, and allegedly after he met Fani, allegedly perhaps Fani just put it on him so good after he dropped the kids off at college, It's being reported that he told the wife to move out. Sounds like, one of those tough scenes from Waiting to Exhale. So, what I find to be cap or, untrue is that attorney Terrence Bradley was so torn about how Nathan Wade was treating his wife Jocelyn that that's why he was spilling the beans, as one of the committee members said on that Senate with panel with Ashley, or as we say in the celebrity gossip world, spilling the tea. I don't think that he cares that much about Jocelyn Wade. I think, in my opinion, it sounds like he cannot stand Nathan Wade. Now, sometimes you may see where a man will think that another guy is really mean to his wife. He's dogging out his wife. Sometimes you wonder if that guy has a crush on the wife. That could be something. But it also sounds like, because they were former business partners, that he may have some sort of secret vendetta against Nathan Wade. Would he really risk, violating attorney-client privilege, possibly losing his law license just to try and bring Nathan Wade down, though? We would have to find out, did these two men fall out? Was it like some really bad business? We know that there were issues allegedly with Terrence Bradley and some accusations. So, regarding a person saying that they had been violated allegedly. So I don't know, but I'm definitely not buying that he was so torn up about how Nathan Wade was treating his wife Jocelyn that's why he was spilling the beans. I'm definitely convinced that it is something much deeper. But Ashley is sticking beside him in terms of what Terrence said. So we just have to see if that is the truth. But in my opinion, it's definitely all cap. All right, so now I want to introduce Miss Robin Yorty. She is in the lower left corner. She is a friend, or perhaps at this point, former friend of Fani Willis. They actually went to college together, and they've known each other since the early 90s. Well, Robin used to lease a condo, and Fani took over that lease when she wanted to move out of the house that she shared with her dad. I guess she needed some privacy, honey. And we all know that Robin Yorty actually testified virtually about her knowledge of Nathan and Fani meeting at some sort of conference from her perspective, and that it had become romantic between the two of them. Well, Robin actually used to work for Fani's office, and this was a piece of info that Ashley dropped during that committee meeting that I thought to be very interesting. So here we go.
Contract that the DA's office got, it's called critical mention. She has I guess he's an attorney, but he's sort of in charge of communications. His name is Jeff DeSantis. Right after Ms. Willis had opened the investigation in this case, that same week, he contracted a company called Critical Mention, which is a media monitoring company. They put a dollar figure basically on your media presence, and they give you these analytical reports. And they say, hey, you did great on MSNBC. That's $1 million worth of, stuff for your brand. The Fani Willis brand is doing well, or this phrase is doing well, things like that.
She had an employee in her office that was responsible for promoting her image, publicity.
She had a publicly funded contract for this. So Jeff DeSantis contracted or called this company, and it's in the emails. I think I provided those as well, but contacted Critical Mention and said, we need to hire you to do media monitoring. And it was the same week that she had sent the letter to Raffensperger and Kemp about this case. Said, we need to have a contract to do media monitoring. Got $10,000 approved, paid $10,000 for a year contract, for an annual contract.
To approve that.
Jeff DeSantis' emails said the county approved it, and his emails indicated that it was hard to get approved, that he had to really push, I think is what he said. There's some language to that, but the county paid for it.
Do other DAs do that?
I've never even heard of media monitoring. I didn't even know it existed. No. It was very shocking. So I got some of the emails about this media monitoring. So I did open records, and again, once I got them, they shut me down and wouldn't give me anything else. But so these emails have attachments, they're PDFs, and you can see in the emails the hyperlink to them where you can actually see the analytical reports. That's what I wanted to get, and obviously nobody would give those to me. But these emails showed a trail where two people in her office, so Ms. Willis, Mr. DeSantis, and then Robin Yeardy, were the ones that had access to this critical mention profile. It's a platform that you can log into and see, how am I doing in the media.
What was Robin Yeardy's role in the DA's office?
She was the liaison between the news organizations. So she said that when CNN, MSNBC wanted her on, they would call Robin and she would coordinate it. She would do her hair and makeup, and then she would coordinate her interviews. But so how I found Robin was I'm going through these emails, and all of a sudden I see an email from Mr. DeSantis saying, take Robin off of this account. She's no longer with the office. And I was like, oh, I wonder if that's her. And so I found a picture of her and I asked Terrence, is that her? Because I found out she had been fired or been let go or had quit or whatever it was. And so that's how I was able to figure out who Robin Yeardy was. Then we were able to run her information, get an address. And that's how we were able to narrow down where this hateful condo was.
So that's where basically Ms. Willis and Mr. Wade would meet.
Yes.
Relationship.
Yes. But Mr. Bradley told me at that first meeting that they would meet at hotels. He told me about a lot of travel, and he detailed.
Okay. All right. So we learned that the DA office, they actually got $10,000 approved to hire a company called Critical Mention, which is a media monitoring company where they actually put a dollar amount on your presence in the media. And I just found that to be so interesting, especially upon learning that the local media, they were submitting FOIA requests on whatever Michael Roman's attorney, Ashley Merchant, was submitting information requests on. And then they're also hiring this company, Critical Mention. So there's definitely this, this grip, this, I don't want to use the word obsession, but focus on the media. Perhaps it sounds like Fani is concerned or believes that if you can control your presence in the media, that must somehow, dictate your presence in the courtroom, perhaps, or your power of persuasion. I just find that to be so interesting. And what's also important is to mention $10,000 to get approved to hire this company. Could those funds have been used in a different way? Especially when everything, if you follow Fani Willis and this entire story, YouTube will recommend other videos surrounding Fani Willis. And I've watched former interviews with her by local journalists that would ask her about the cases that were on backlogs. And she would talk about how they need to hire more attorneys, more public defenders. So I instantly thought, like, that $10,000, could that have gone towards something more important, something more effective to help with the, any back cases, in Fulton County? That was my first thought. So what I want to make sure is that I covered everything in the notes. So Robin Yeardy, she no longer works for the office for Fani Willis, but she was a liaison. It sounds like she was coordinating the interviews between media and Fani or any of her, team in the office that would speak with local media for interviews. And she's no longer in that role. And they were friends, and they've been friends for 30 years, and they went to college together. So it just sounds like there's a lot of gossiping coming from Terrence Bradley. It's definitely unprofessional and not really the best practice considering he is a lawyer. And I'm just convinced that he definitely has some sort of vendetta against Nathan Wade. I wonder, is there any sort of way that we can truly tap into that former business relationship and see where did everything go left? Now, I know that a few weeks ago, it's probably been at least a month, I posted a question on my community tab just asking everyone, are you all following this story? And a couple of people said that, you all didn't see the big deal and why there would be a probe into Fani Willis. just for dating someone that she's hired as an attorney. Well, optics can matter, do matter, and the optics do not look good when you hire your former boyfriend or former lover. You're paying him a very expensive rate to actually prosecute the former president of the United States for election fraud. And then it looks like, you are funneling some of that money back into your pockets, perhaps allegedly. That's what people are concerned about, because we also know, if you've been following this case, that they Ashley was able to get copies of Nathan Wade's bank statements where it showed where he paid for vacations that both he and Fani took together. And he purchased plane tickets. We saw Fani's name as the passenger. And so it just puts into question if any of those funds that he was paid to prosecute Mr. Trump were used for personal use, including for the woman who hired him. So it just looks bad. And that's why it's definitely a huge concern. So we definitely have to continue to watch this story and see how everything plays out. Let me know in the comments if you think that Fani will be disqualified from the election case. What do you think about attorney Terrence Bradley spilling the tea on Nathan Wade? Do you think that he truly has so much empathy for Nathan's wife, Jocelyn? Or do you think that he is on some get back, a secret vendetta against Nathan Wade? I would love to hear what you all think as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate the support. Please hit the like button on this video, for it is a free way of supporting the channel. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to Show Style and Spirit. We have made it to the end of the work week. Hallelujah. I hope that you all have a fantastic Friday. It is going to be great. I will talk with you all soon. Bye.